And this is a new series that we are offering here. We are going to be covering navigating the accounting recruitment cycle. My name is Lauren. I'm a Kelley career coach here with Kelley Indianapolis Career Services. And I'm also joined by Luke Kieper. He is one of our career peers and a fellow accounting major. So Luke's going to be helping us answer some questions in the chat box. So if you have those, please go ahead and include it there, or you can put it into the Q&A box. We will be recording this session so you can pass it on to any of your friends or watch it later. But let's go ahead and dive right into it. And since we've got 30 minutes, we want to make sure that we cover everything that you need here. And we're talking about the accounting recruitment cycle because it's very unique to almost every other industry out there, because accounting recruiting firms are actually doing recruiting over a year in advance in most cases. So for example, if you're looking for a summer 2021 internship, you're actually going to be starting right now. If you're looking for a full-time job and you're not graduating until May 2021, you'll also really begin that job search process now. Fall tends to be one of the most important parts of this recruitment cycle, but there are other entry points throughout the year and opportunities that are available that you can take advantage of. It's just dependent upon the type of company you're trying to go after as to when recruiting will actually be available. So that's what we're going to cover today in our conversation. And the first thing that we're going to kick off right now is looking at what the actual cycle looks like in the next 4 to 6 weeks. So week one, you're already here with us back on campus, so welcome. We're happy to have you. The recruitment cycle actually starts as early as week 1 and 2, where you're starting to prepare for the Accounting and Finance Meet the Recruiter Career Fair. That happens during week 3. You'll notice it on there on September 10th. That is going to be a virtual event this year. There's more information coming out about that, including on the Kelley Edge email that gets sent out weekly. We will also be running a webinar here shortly. Now, week 4 is going to provide you opportunities to actually do mock interviews with our employer partners. So we'll have mock interviews in the Kelley career system for you to sign up for. A little bit more on that later. And then week 5 is when interviewing begins, and this extends into October and potentially a little bit into November as well. And interviewing, can be first, second round interviews. And I will say that most of these are going to happen virtually too this year, just due to the nature of what's going on with COVID. To give you a layout though, we're kind of hitting the ground running, which is why you're here at this webinar, to learn about where you need to be at this particular moment. So the first part of this I want to cover is how you actually get out in front of recruiters, especially knowing that we have the fair coming up. And there's multiple ways to do that. The fair is the first and most obvious one. But the second one we're going to look at here is information sessions. And networking is really about connecting with these recruiters because they have different opportunities to share what their firms are doing and how you might fit in with their organization. They'll talk a little bit about the internship or job search process and what their recruiting and interviewing might look like. In addition, you get to learn about how the company actually operates itself and what kind of personalities they're looking to fill, in addition to the different skill sets they're hoping to have. So the information sessions that you'll notice are going to be promoted by the Accounting Association. So if you're not part of that club already, please take a look at it. You can join them on the Den. And they will send you emails automatically letting you know about the events happening. Again, everything being virtual. We also promote those too throughout our Kelley Career Edge email in addition, and you may see some of them too on Kelley Careers when you log into the app. So a lot of places to check things out. Now, in addition to the info sessions that you can attend, there's also going to be opportunities at the career fair, and I say opportunities, jobs and internships, that you can get recruited for. So some of those are going to be, in addition to that, leadership programs. I'm going to talk about those in a minute here. So career fair prep events, we have several coming up, and Luke's going to put in the chat box a link to all of our events. But in the next couple of weeks, I encourage you to participate in these because it gives you an opportunity to polish your documents, like your resumes, get that professional elevator pitch up to speed. And not to mention, since everything's virtual this year, we are going to be going extensively into some do's and don'ts as to how you participate in a virtual career fair. So more on that here in a bit. The other thing Luke's going to put in the chat box is just a quick 2-minute video that allows you to see how the virtual career system operates. I'm not going to go in depth into that today, but more just for your information on what that looks like, so you understand where it is in the future there. So I had mentioned this already, but the Accounting Association does a lot of these networking events that are actually run exclusively through their club, and you can join without really easily by joining on the Den. Networking opportunities, getting to learn about what these clubs and what these accounting firms are doing, and also getting to connect with their employees. Half of the process of job searching and internship searching is the connections that you actually make while you're interacting with a company. And that's ultimately what we want you to be able to do, is to make a great impression, not only with the resume, but also personally. So that's getting in front of these organizations. Now, virtually, this is going to look a little bit different, but you all are getting used to Zoom rooms and those breakout sessions. And that's how a lot of these networking pieces are going to be conducted. So it's not a large group or a webinar that you'll be subjected to. You actually get to have conversations. So very similar to in-person with a little bit of a twist. Now, I had mentioned information sessions that are coming up, and I've got a few of them listed here on the screen. But information sessions can be good networking opportunities, but Luke also has that information included in the URL that he just sent with the events. But check the Kelley Careers app if you've not downloaded that. That gives you access to see all of the events that are being hosted there. All righty. So for freshmen and sophomores that are in our session today, I do want to touch a little bit on another opportunity that comes up at career fairs. And these are called leadership programs. And the accounting associations put these on because they want you actually to go to their organization and learn about who they are. It's kind of a pipeline. So the first line that you go into is in leadership programs, and then you get recruited into internships, and then finally into a full-time job. So it's kind of a step-by-step progression. Leadership programs will look a little bit different from company to company, but ultimately it includes you going to an organization. They do networking opportunities. Sometimes you get to actually participate in a case study. Other organizations help you polish different professional skills. And then finally, some of them will actually do different development workshops too. So they're really chock full of a lot of different things, and you get to see what a company culture is really like. And that's what's kind of the biggest benefit about them. And Luke actually got to participate in a leadership program last year. And so we're going to bring him on to our chat here. Luke, thank you so much for joining us and for manning our chat today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Definitely, definitely. So Luke, tell me a little bit about the leadership program that you participated in last year.
Yeah, so I had the opportunity to go to Clifton Larson Allen last year, CLA.
Awesome, awesome. So you'll see them at the career fair this year. How did you find out about that leadership program?
So I went to kelleycareersonline.com, and that's a really great place. I believe the link is in the chat right now, actually. But it's a really great place for pretty much everything Kelley, whether it be finding leadership programs, Kicks appointments with career services, searching for jobs or internships. It's pretty much got everything on there.
Awesome. Good deal. And he's right. We've got all of those posted in there because you apply for a leadership program just like you would apply for an internship. Mm-hmm. So can you tell us a little bit about what you did at the leadership program? How long did it last? Different activities?
Yeah, so it was a really great experience for me. It was maybe anywhere between 3 and 4 hours, so not super long or time consuming, but it was still a really great experience. We sat through presentations and they basically just kind of talked about who they are, what they do. So that was really cool to see and kind of get that peek into their business. We also got a tour around the office just to kind of see what they were about and just how it was. It was a really nice facility that we got to go around. They had a Q&A session as well, which is super helpful, especially for people who had questions about their major, what career they were going to go into. So that was really great to listen to and have some of my questions answered. And then we kind of finished with some team building games, and that was really interesting, playing with people that you've never really met before, but also really, really fun and exciting. So I had a really great time there doing that, and I learned a whole lot as well.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Can you tell us a little bit about how that experience has kind of impacted what your understanding of accounting was?
Yeah, so it really gave me a true look into the world of accounting. And I know in movies, especially, a lot of times there's that stereotype of, accountants sit in a cold, dark room and they're, angry and hate everything about everything. But CLA kind of showed me that that really wasn't the case. It was really fun and bright, and everybody there was friendly. I had a really fun time with everybody that was there, which is kind of, on the contrary of what a lot of these stereotypical accountants are. But they were super talkative, outgoing, and they really seemed to enjoy what they were doing. And so that was really a positive note for me, especially going into the accounting field, seeing these people going into accounting and finance and really enjoying and loving what they're doing. So that was really positive for me.
Awesome. So it sounds like you would 100% recommend this to freshmen and sophomores, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, they're fun, eventful. They give you a really good look into the world that you're considering going into as a career, especially because you don't necessarily want to go into a career that you're not going to enjoy. So it's really nice to get that information. And I left with, and I think that you guys will also leave with, a better understanding, a better idea of your major and career choice, and whether you really want to go into that field.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Luke. And hey, by the way, I love your background. We matched today.
I wonder where I got it from. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, guys. Well, thanks, Luke. We're heading into just another part of our conversation today. So obviously leadership programs being a huge opportunity for you to take advantage of. As you get prepared for the career fair, just a few tips that I want to, kind of point out. You can submit applications prior to the fair. That is a common question we get. And then in addition, what you can use is when you actually go to the fair, you can put a face with a name and you can talk a little bit more about some of those experiences and share what we call the story, who you are, and really help you secure that next step in the interview. So everything we've talked about today kind of preps you for what you're going to be looking for at a high level for that career fair. But check out our webinar on September 4th. That's next Friday, called Succeeding in Virtual Career Fairs, for even more information there. So the next phase of this I want to talk about is the mock interview process. If you have never completed an interview or a professional interview before, this is a great experience to take advantage of. If you go into Kelley Careers right now, you will be able to see mock interviews and you can sign up for those. They'll happen, let's see here, September 15th through the 18th, and they will all be done virtually. Lots of different opportunities and times available for you to be speaking with an employer. But these are actually our recruiting partners who are taking time out of their day to be able to give you feedback. And the structure looks where you have about a half hour set aside, and 15 minutes will be questions that the employer will provide you. And then 15 minutes will be the feedback that you'll get for each one of those sessions. So get excited. There's recruiters from different public accounting firms all the way to government agencies, banks. You can check those out there. In addition, Luke's going to be putting some information into the chat box. If you can't take advantage of a mock interview, you can also practice for a virtual interview with our system we call Interview Stream. An interview stream allows you to actually conduct a virtual interview. A question will flash up on the screen. You'll have about 15 seconds to contemplate what you're going to say, and then you'll have about 2 minutes then to respond to the question. It really gets you into the practice of being able to think on the spot. And also you can send that link to anybody in the Kelley Careers office, and we'd be happy to give you feedback on that too. Luke's giving you those specific directions there, so that way you know how to make an account, and it will also have information on how you access the different opportunities and mock interviews in there. In the next week too, actually 2 weeks, we will have an event that happens, another 30-minute career session called Secrets to a Great Interview. Again, Luke in the chat box had included a link to our events. Check that out. We'll be talking about some of those specific things that you should be doing in a virtual interview to make sure that you stand out. And also, you might find some really cool Zoom backgrounds too when we go through. Luke's got some great examples of good backgrounds and not so good backgrounds. So thank you for that, Luke. Another recruiter tip that I just want to give you, this week during the week of mock interviews, you want to make sure you get all of your final applications submitted, because many of them close maybe the day after the fair or several days into that week. So make sure that you're completing those applications, because they will be going through them rather quickly. Also make sure you're sending final thank you emails from where you were interacting with the employers at the career fair. That's another good thing to follow up on during the mock interview week, and of course, participate in mock interviews. Now, the next phase of this wheel, if we're looking at it, is interviewing. And this happens during week 5. And interviews, again, are going to be conducted all virtually, and they're coordinated by the employer. So after they have interacted with you at the fair, they will look at your resume and potentially invite you for an interview. And while every company has a different interview structure, they'll let you know what the process looks like, whether it's going to be conducted on Microsoft Teams, or if you're going to be meeting with 2 people or 10 people, they'll let you know what that process looks like as they schedule them. And typically what we see is these you'll start seeing interviews appear at the midsection of September, and they usually go all the way through November at times. And then we see offers. You'll start to notice that they kind of mimic this. By mid-October is when we see offers through mid-November at that point. Now, usually the next question comes after we talk about interviewing is, oh my gosh, I got an offer. And sometimes it's, I got multiple offers. What in the world do I do? Well, be sure to contact us, because we'd be happy to walk you through what that process looks like, so you can understand what the offer looks like and how you might do a comparison to choose one over the other. It doesn't always come down to pay for most people. Usually what it comes down to is the experience they're going to get out of the organization and how connected they felt to it. And we are 100% happy to help you with that. Now, in addition to what we'll be offering on those individual one-on-one conversations, we will have a negotiations webinar that happens on September 24th. So be sure to join us for that. It will be recorded too. So if you need to come back to it at a later time in order to walk through those different processes, you're welcome to. That workshop is called Negotiation, a Woman's Most Powerful Tool. However, everyone is able to join this, because you will walk away with different tools and also tips in order to implement that negotiation process. So section 1 through 3, if we're kind of going through here, the interviewing, we just talked about, we had mock interviews we talked about, and then of course the career fairs and info sessions. Almost all of this happens in the fall semester, so it gets really busy. But in the spring semester, there's still opportunity for you to take advantage of. So if you don't get a job or an internship offer during that term, you can come back in the spring, and there are networking events. So we have the sophomore networking event that is open to almost everybody, but sophomores exclusively, where you can build networks and relationships with hiring companies and learn about those different internships. And then in addition to this, we also have the Kelley Career Fair, and that's the last part of our wheel that we're going to talk about today. While there is not a date yet for the Kelley Career Fair that happens in February, it will be announced, I would imagine, here in the next couple of months. You can still find opportunity at these organizations, but the companies who are recruiting might look a little bit different. So in the fall semester, you tend to see a lot of larger companies. So I'm talking like our Big 4 accounting firms that might be participating in the fall traditional recruiting cycle. And usually when we get to the spring recruiting cycle, we usually see a lot more mid-sized public accounting firms, more government agencies, banks, corporations, those sorts of companies who are seeking same position. So it might be a staff accountant or an internship position, but they're just recruiting a little bit later for them. So those opportunities are all there, including some leadership programs, which will still be available for that upcoming semester, which would be in the summer there. So lots of availability for those. It's really just the company types that are recruiting that look really different from fall to spring. All righty, so we are coming up on the end here, which means that we are actually going to get us out in 20 minutes. So I might have gone through in record time, but we will leave time for questions here at the end. But I do want to reiterate that we are available here for appointments. So just because we can't meet in person does not mean we cannot talk at all. If you go to kelleycareersonline.com, you can schedule an appointment with us. If you are having difficulties, please reach out to the kicks@iupui.edu email. I'll have Luke include that in the chat box, so that way you have the ability to reach out to us if you run into issues. In addition to appointments, you can come for drop-ins too. So we just started hosting our fall drop-ins this week. So you can see us on Friday from 1 to 3, or if you would like, you can also come anytime on Tuesday and Wednesday during those time slots there. We have an online chat service that is available on our website. So if you go to kelleycareersonline.com, you can click the button that says chat with us, and you can talk with me or Luke or any of the Kelley Career staff that is available and on staff at that time. So at that point, what I'm gonna do is go into the chat, and if you guys have questions or if you're in the Q&A, we'll also have those up and available. But if you have questions, please feel free to let us know. If you didn't have any questions, you just gained 8 minutes back of your time today. We really appreciated you joining us for our first 30-minute career session. We hope that you are having a great year. And if you need anything from our office, please let us know. We are always here to support you. Yes, we have a good question here in the chat. Is there a listing of the companies attending the fair? If you go into kelleycareersonline.com, you'll be able to see a list of the companies attending. All you'll have to do is select events and career fairs, and you'll see the entire list in there. Great question there. Anybody else have questions? Another good question. Do we submit applications through Kelley Careers? The answer is yes and no. It depends upon what the company is utilizing. So when you apply to a particular position, it will let you know if you will apply on the company website or if you will actually submit your resume through Kelley Careers. So just pay attention to the directions. It will immediately tell you what system you'll be applying to. I will say most companies typically use their own website to collect applications, but we do have some that use Kelley Careers. Alrighty. Well, on that note, what we will do is in the box here in the chat box, I'm just going to include our email address in case you would like to ask any additional questions. I will be happy to answer those. Luke will be happy to answer them. We want to thank you again for joining us today, and we're going to go ahead and sign off here. Have a wonderful afternoon and a great fall semester.